Hello and a very warm welcome viewers. You're watching Reset India with your host Kriti Mishra. And today we'll track the growth story of Indian toy industry. The first ever India Toy Fair 2021 will be organized from 27th of February to 2nd of March through a virtual medium. It is first of its kind initiative that aims to bring together all stakeholders of the Indian toy industry to create sustainable linkages. It will promote dialogue for the holistic development of the industry and present to the globe the richness and vastness of India's toy manufacturing capabilities. In his Mann Ki Baat program, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had urged the startups to team up and manufacture toys to make India a hub for toy production. Prime Minister underlined the need to promote local toys and said it is time to go vocal for local toys. He also lauded the rich tradition of local toys in the country and the skill and talent and expertise of our artisans in making good toys. And to discuss the way forward, I'm joined by Mr. Matthew Vizosi, Executive Director, Asia Toy and Play Association, Mr. R. Ramanan, Mission Director of the Atal Innovation Mission in the Niti Aayog, and Mr. Bhavesh Sumaya, General Manager, South Asia, Hasbro Incorporated. Welcome to Atsaba Television, all of you. And before we commence our discussion, few very important insights for our viewers. Let's take a look. So the Indian toy industry, $1.5 billion enterprise with 0.5% global market share. Hubs, NCR, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and clusters across central states. 90% market share is unorganized. 4,000 units from MSME sector. Potential to grow to $2 or $3 billion industry by 2024. Domestic demand to grow 10 to 15% against global average of 5%. And now, let's go back to our guests. Mr. Vizosi, coming to you first. The India Toy Fair 2021. It is going to be a unique platform with all the stakeholders together, right from artisans, teachers, children, parents, manufacturing units. The importance of this kind of a fair in propelling the growth of Indian toy industry.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. In this session on the occasion of the really important event of the first National India Toy Fair. For sure, the fair is an incredible event, and very much we are looking forward to participate, although virtually. From our side, we feel that this is going to become really one of the key global events for the toy industry. And from the Asia Toy and Play Association, we actively participated in providing content and to the sessions. So I think that although we have to do it virtually, and although we are in this a little bit difficult situation of the COVID-19 pandemic, but the fair will be a great success and will definitely showcase to the rest of the world how important India is on the toy scene and really the potential that India has to offer to the rest of the world.
All right, sir. Let me get in Mr. Ramanan here. Sir, the Toy Fair 2021, of course, we know that it's going to be extremely important, the fact that all the stakeholders will be together on one platform. But we also know that there would be major attractions. For instance, there would be theme based on the national education policy. What are the other major attractions, according to you, that would attract eyeballs?
Thank you, Kriti, and it's indeed a pleasure to deliberate on this topic, which is very, very important. The importance of toys and games in the making up of a student's holistic approach to life, or a young child's holistic approach to life. And, you know, from the birth of civilization, toys and games have been the way people have learned. They have looked at the world as a great arena where in an atmosphere of fun and learning, you acquire a number of skills, and then you learn how to be creative. You have exploration, you have discovery, it leads on to acquisition of knowledge, and then you apply all that knowledge in a very creative manner to create new innovations, and that has marked the progress of civilization. And in a child's world, it is very important because as soon as a child is born, I mean, it looks at the entire world as a toy. In fact, our stories are replete where Hanuman jumps towards the sun thinking it is a toy, and thereby unleashes a whole lot of his capability in that process, and awareness of his capability in the process, not only to himself, but to all the other gods and goddesses surrounding him. And so this is the tremendous power that toys and games have to be able to stimulate in the young child the ability to learn about the world around in a spirit of fun and entertainment, and at the same time be able to become very creative. And therefore, this new education policy and the Honorable Prime Minister has been emphasizing that how do you make toys and games an instrumental part in the holistic growth of a child, not only in being able to absorb all the things that they are supposed to learn, not in an atmosphere of rote learning that we are used to, but in an atmosphere of fun. And at the same time, this goes on into your adult life. As you grow up, toys and games still become a very instrumental part in the acquisition of knowledge, as well as in simulation and in creativity. And that is why we have launched thousands of tinkering labs at schools for grade 6 to grade 12 students, where actually the tinkering lab is an atmosphere of play and innovation, where young children learn to tinker with do-it-yourself kits, whether it is emerging technologies like 3D printers, robotics, IoT, or miniaturized electronics, and they put it together, create solutions in a small group where they laugh at failures. They are not burdened with the fact that if I don't succeed in creating a toy or an innovation, somebody is going to find fault. And that breeds on to a very innovative problem-solving mindset in our young students, and thereby, as they go into life, into universities or into the industry, they acquire an innovative, creative mindset, which is going to enable India to go forward in a tremendously forward way. And therefore, the NEP as well as the students have a tremendous opportunity through this particular focus on toys and games and the international fair that is being organized to weave it into our educational structure. And finally, it is also a great opportunity for Indian heritage to express itself. The capability that our tribal people, our various villages have had in creating toys and games, which are very, very unique and centric, India-centric, to now come to fore on the international forum and boost our MSME industry as well as the cottage industries in various clusters that are there and spread these clusters across. So it is of tremendous importance as far as this particular event is concerned.
All right, before we get into the specifics of the Indian toy industry and talk about the growth structure and the growth trajectory ahead, Mr. Somaya, the importance of the first ever India Toy Fair 2021 according to you, sir.
Well, thank you, Kriti, first of all, for inviting me to this forum. And I think it's an extremely important juncture at which the India toy industry is poised. If I look at the history and if I look at the kind of growth trajectory that the toy industry in India has seen, as you are fully aware, and we saw in some of the stats that you had shared, there has been a high dependence on sort of imports for development. And while having said that, I think there's a significant potential for expansion and growth of the domestic industry from a development standpoint, as well as a manufacturing standpoint. And I can tell you a critical role that Hasbro has played in this journey, where we've been able to establish our sourcing operations in India, and in fact, currently are in the process of scaling that up to a level where we are already the largest exporter of toys from India with the help of our partners, as well as looking at significantly expanding this footprint and opportunity in the next coming years. So I think, as I said, from both aspects, one, from the potential that the domestic market offers from an expansion standpoint, as well as the potential it offers from export and sourcing standpoint, are quite critical. And that's why I believe that there couldn't have been a better opportunity for us to participate in such an event where such thoughts, ideas, and platforms can be expressed to really talk about the future potential and growth of this industry.
All right, sir. So basically, you're talking about the export, the import, the potential of the Indian toy industry. Let me take that to Mr. Vizosi. Mr. Vizosi, the fact that 85% of toys are imported in India and generally from China, followed by countries like Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Germany. How do we reduce our dependence on imports as far as the toys are concerned?
Well, for sure, this dependency on imports has been addressed by the government. The government has implemented a few measures over the past, I would say, 12 months to curb these imports from China. I believe there are different. There are a few factors that we have to consider. First of all, China has been the manufacturing place of the world, not only for the toy sector, for the past 20, 30 years. Of course, although from our side we see a diversification in manufacturing, It's a process that will take some time. Also, and this process has been slowed down by the pandemic. Of course, big companies, but also small companies, they've been hit in terms of their sales, their business operation by the COVID. So also the new investments that perhaps they were going to put in India or in other countries for that matter, they may have slowed down a little bit this process. However, we see that there is definitely an increase of interest towards India. From the association, from the Asia Toy and Play Association, we've done a lot of promotion for India and in India together, for example, with Invest India, and we've been trying to attract companies to really learn of what's happening and what are the incentives that the government is offering to really create these toy clusters. Also, on top of that, we have some members which do manufacture 100% of their toys in India and they export it. And recently we have included in our membership some other toy manufacturers from India that are looking to export. So we've been helping them to connect to buyers overseas. So overall, I think, yes, the whole world kind of is still based on China, but we really see a trend to the diversification. And I think all the measures that the government has put into place will definitely help to boost the local manufacturing in India. Of course, there are some roadblocks that I think the industry has been bringing to the attention of the government, and also from our side, we've been in direct contact with DPIT and so on to make sure that these roadblocks are removed, and also that this growth becomes an organic growth. And of course, we should not forget about the pandemic, and we should not forget that some of the big companies really take may take a longer time to change the supply chain. And I think something which a lot of people may not know, but the supply chain in the toy industry is extremely complex, and it's made of a lot of small players that provide components to the main factories. And to move those supply chains, especially in this COVID situation, it takes time. And but for sure, what the government is putting into place, it will definitely help to speed up the process. But we need to be patient. I think the National Toy Fair will definitely be a great showcase of this. And with all the content and the webinars that will be showcased over the next 4 days, I think there will definitely be a lot of more clarity on what India has to offer. And of course, association like the Asia Toy and Play Association really play a role to connect the industry with the government, and to make sure that best practices are shared, and also to make sure that everything is done in a way that the businesses also will benefit as soon as possible. And let's not forget, at the end of the day, the most important thing is really to put a smile on a child's face, and to give children, in particular India children, access to really high quality and safe toys in the shops and the shelves.
All right, you made few very important points. Let me take that to Mr. Ramanan. Mr. Ramanan, as he said that there are roadblocks. Of course, we have to address these issues. The government, we understand, has also come up with cluster policy for the toy industry. There are 8 clusters around worth of more than 2,000 crore rupees. But sir, our share is a meager 0.5% as far as the global toy industry is concerned. How do we enhance our competitive edge?
Yeah, and I think that's a very important question to address. As Mr. Matthew had suggested or remarked, India had lost the edge on manufacturing for quite some time. But now, with all the focus that Atmanirbhar Bharat has on ensuring go vocal for local, and that's developing a self-reliant India. And we are at a point where there is a convergence of a demographic dividend that is very advantageous for our country. We have a fast-growing economy, which is required if you want to boost the MSME industry or related industries. And we have technology which is making things easier to do, innovations easier to happen, and to be able to actually manufacture on a large scale. So now, bringing all these 3 things together, there is a huge opportunity for the MSME industry to be able to take advantage of this. And that is what many initiatives in the government, including challenges that are launched by the MSME sector, along with Atal Innovation Mission and other ministries in India, is encouraging to create community-centric innovations and to be able to boost the entire MSME industry in clusters where such talent exists. if you look at the opportunity for India, there are two opportunities that I see. One is our traditional toys, our traditional games, a rich heritage of culture that we have. All of that can find itself expression through new toys and games that can be encouraged in the remote parts of our country where these skills still exist, whether it is in Rajasthan, whether it is in Assam, whether it is in Tanjore, or whether it is in Channapatna, in Karnataka, and so on. You have these clusters where such artisan capability should be further encouraged. The second is combine it with modern technology, including robotics and automation and 3D design and so on and so forth, to create new variations of these toys so that you are able to create a burgeoning export market. And finally, you also have a tremendous possibility of leveraging this for our own internal development, whether it is students, today game development, for example, we launched something called game development apps for our Atal Tinkering Lab students. So, and we asked them, why don't you develop apps instead of playing digital games? And out of the students, because they are very creative, came an assortment of games which we were amazed with. The type of thoughts that they had and the creative suggestions that they had. So even in the export zone where digital games and digital toys are becoming more and more relevant because of sensor technologies which can be incorporated into toys, and they become a lot more expressive, they become a lot more relevant to the young child or the student in their growth curve. So all of this form a tremendous opportunity for India to leverage, and this means a focus on creating the necessary infrastructure in all these places so that you are able to boost this toy industry and the manufacturing part.
All right, but one of the basic concerns, Mr. Somaya, of course, is of sustainability. There are concerns about use of plastic. How do we evolve from there, and how do we invest more in our R&D technologies?
I think, again, that's a very important point, and I can tell you globally in our own experience, we have seen various initiatives within the international toy industry and the international toy community where organizations are on the leading edge of innovating toys which are heading towards being completely plastic free. I mean, at least first we start with looking at removing plastic completely from packaging, because as you can understand that the huge amount of harm that just the external packaging that creates when the child opens a toy and throws away the wrapping or the covering or whatever, that itself adds to a lot of sort of issues on environment and sustainability. So the first stage, in fact, is innovations and development around that. We are also seeing trends and innovations around looking at toys that are created with more biodegradable plastic, which is friendlier to the environment. And ultimately, I think we are going to move into a space where we'll also come out with materials that are completely sort of environment friendly. So I think the trend's definitely heading towards there. The toy industry as a whole is also waking up to this reality that we need to be far more responsible, because ultimately we are responsible for putting quality toys in the hands of children, but also responsible for maintaining that sustainability in the environment going forward. I see, as Mr. Ramanan said, I see a huge opportunity for us as we are making these technological advances and we are using increasingly some advanced technologies as, plastic molding or, precise sort of, spray painting or automated hair routing. And these are just some basic things that are existing in the world all over, but are being brought into India at a... We also see this...
I'm completely running out of time, but you made very important points there that there are immense opportunities, and of course we have to leverage them and be, vocal for local and also become hub for manufacturing toys. On that note, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So that's all we have for you in this edition of Reset India. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Rajya Sabha TV.